Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the next Critical Role. And so, the big question right now is who's going to be the next Critical Role? And trust and believe, there got to be probably 50 shows easily who are on Twitch or YouTube and are saying we're going to be the next Critical Role. People are trying to do this. They're like, hey, why should Mercer be the only, why should he be the only peacock in the zoo, right? Like we can do this, right? And they're going for it, right? They're trying to create the next Critical Role, right? But I'm going to make a prediction today, right? I'll tell you when the next Critical Role will actually occur, and then I'll explain why. Okay, so first of all, absolutely no one on the board right now is going to be the next Critical Role. None of them are going to spike up and have the popularity, the juice, the momentum, the excitement that Critical Role produces. It's just not going to happen, okay? Now, I'll explain to you why. Okay, so why is Critical Role so massively popular? Why did their streamed Dungeons and Dragons game reach a level of success? And I think that really what they really did was, just so you're aware, last count 2019, Dungeons and Dragons has 11 million players. We know that from 20. So and the March 2020 situation has done nothing but increase that. Okay, so there's probably between 10 and 15 million Dungeons and Dragons players. The numbers on people who actually watch Critical Role are probably 3 to 6 million. You can tell that by the number of views they get on their show, right? So no one in the world has ever gotten 6 million, arguably 6 million people watching a Dungeons and Dragons game, right? Mercer did something that no one did, right? Now, why did Critical Role work? Why did it spike up to a level that is unheard of anywhere else in the industry, right? Trust and believe, no other streamed games have 6 million viewers. It just does not happen, right? Mercer has done something genuinely unique with the numbers on his show, right? Critical Role, with Legends of Vox Machina, with Mighty Nine. I'm not sure what the new term is for third season. So it's three things. Okay, first and foremost, it's Matthew Mercer. Okay, Matthew Mercer is legitimately the Michael Jordan of Dungeon Masters. He's a once in a century talent, just absolutely unparalleled, and the GOAT, right? Like, you're the greatest of all times when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, right? Just like Michael Jordan was with basketball, and the closest to him, LeBron, probably really is not close enough to carry his, the towel he used after his last game, right? Michael Jordan there's nobody in the game like him, and everybody's trying to be him, but they ain't making it, right? So that's number one. And I do not understate Mercer. Okay, he's incredibly. It doesn't happen without Mercer. There's two other things it doesn't happen without too. All right, so it's not just Mercer. There's three factors that made Critical Role what it was. What's the second factor? Well, so you have Matthew Mercer, and then and the second thing is a resurgent edition. It is specifically Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Okay, so get this. I think if Critical Role had been running with 4th edition, it would not have worked. And the reason why was, arguably, Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of people argue this, Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition is the worst version of the game. Most people believe that what Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition was Wizards of the Coast going, oh my gosh, World of Warcraft is eating our lunch. Let's turn Dungeons and Dragons into World of Warcraft. And it turned to tears and flames. It sundered literally half the people stopped playing 4th edition, left, right, and started playing Pathfinder. Quite literally, Pathfinder exists today because of 4th edition, right? There's no, when you talk about butterflies, right, the butterfly effect, Pathfinder arguably doesn't happen if 4th edition doesn't happen, right? It opened a gate to create the entire Paizo company, Pathfinder 1 and Pathfinder 2 and StarCraft, all would not exist. They're literally just they're a consequence of Dungeons and Dragons choices, right? Like, so this research. But Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, right? Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition was around from 2008 to 2014. That's 6 years, okay? When Mercer hits, right, and Critical Role is up and running, he's running on 5th edition, an edition that was specifically built from the ground up by Mike Mearls to reunite the entire Dungeons and Dragons group, the grouping of people, right? And it does. It reunites the Dungeons and Dragons community, and people surge back to Dungeons and Dragons and go, "Oh, thank goodness we don't have to play Pathfinder anymore," right? And they're thrilled, right? Because it looks like first edition. It looks like first edition with a few awesome lessons from second edition and a few awesome lessons from third edition. And so here 5th edition is sitting with all the best squeezed juice from 1E, 2E, and 3E, and new ideas from Mike Mearls, arguably the best lead design Dungeons & Dragons has ever had. Yeah, I think lead design. Yeah, because, like, I don't think we need to give Gary Gygax the best lead design title, and the reason why he's the creator, right? Like, he's already got his own crown. You know, like, he doesn't need another crown, right? So Mike Mearls is bar none the best lead design design lead Dungeons & Dragons ever had. Okay, so basically, Mercer comes in, brings this incredible pool of talent, right? Within himself, and then his game that he's putting together hits stride with a resurgent edition, right? And there's a whole bunch of goodwill and a whole bunch of joy and a whole bunch of mechanics that make it work that would not have been there with 4th edition, right? It would not have been there with 4th edition, and no other tabletop fantasy role-playing game in the world could have done. And the reason why is nobody beats Dungeons and Dragons because most other games don't know the arena where the fight is even happening. All these other games are like, we're going to make a better tabletop fantasy role-playing game. And what they don't realize is nobody's playing Dungeons & Dragons because it's the best tabletop fantasy role-playing game. They're playing it because it's a cultural icon. They're like, oh, hey, I want that cool moment that happened in E.T. Oh, I'm not old enough to know what happened in E.T., but that same moment happened in Stranger Things, right? Like, it's a cultural icon. Right? And no other game is like, we're going to become a cultural icon. They're all like, oh, let me turn this knob on this rules. Did that help us win? No, it did not, because we don't even we can't win the fight because we don't know where the arena where the fight is happening. Right? Like, so that's why Dungeons and Dragons never gets beat, right? Like, that's why nobody ever gets close, right? So you have all that. So those are two. Here's the last, the streaming game emergence, right? So there was a specific technical innovation that happened, and basically Matthew Mercer is the big kahuna. He is riding a gigantic wave, right? And that wave is the streaming game arriving in near perfect form, right? And in a form that just dwarfs anything that came before it, anything, right? And so he is riding a technological innovation, right? The near perfect stream game, which is YouTube on point, Twitch on point, Twitch and YouTube forcing each other to get better, which is also people, Stranger Things hitting and pushing people to this very high production value game that has never existed before. And you know what it was competing against? It was competing against these horrible live play podcasts where you just heard a bunch of clattering and, people were poorly mic'd. And so the near perfected stream game was a technical innovation. So the three things you need to be the next Critical Role is you need a Mercer level talent. Good luck there, right? You need a resurgent edition. How are you going to even get that? Because people are not unhappy with 5th edition. It is the #1 tabletop role-playing game seller in the world, right? It's not 4th, right? It's beloved, right? Yeah, that's a Strixhaven term. It gets extra student dice, right? It gets inspiration in the morning, right? 5th edition does not compete with like it's going to be hard to have a resurgent edition because nobody's unhappy with the current edition, right, at the macro level. And actually, I don't think anybody's really unhappy with fifth edition. There's people who are just like, I'm over here playing this other game, right? Like, so, yeah. There are very few people who are playing fifth edition who don't like fifth edition, right? So, yeah. All right. So, and that, so you're not going to get a resurgent. You will get another tech. That and that's why I say it's coming in 2027, right? I think, and I think the next Critical Role will arrive in 2027. There will be a new edition by then. There will not be a new Matthew Mercer level talent, but people will be sick of Mercer by then. Not because he's not great, but just like we are fickle and audiences don't stay forever, right? And also he'll be like 50 or 60 by then, right? And that's another thing. It's like Mercer is playing in Hollywood's world, right? And Hollywood don't really like old people, right? They're like, hey, let's get a fresh new face in here, right? And then the last one is there will definitely be a new tech innovation by then, right? Something truly unique, right? So I predict so everybody on the board right now is not going to be the next Critical Role, but there will be a new next Critical Role in the year 2027. That's my prediction. When do you predict the next Critical Role will arrive? Or do you think I'm wrong? Do you think the next Critical Role is on YouTube or Twitch right now? Point me to them. I'd love to see it. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.